Hi, welcome to the Mohua show. My name is Mohua Chinappa and I am an author, entrepreneur and ex-housewife. This podcast is about everything from business to technology to arts to lifestyle, but done and spoken ईमानदारी से. Hi, in this episode, we have with us Indian MTV VJ and TV host Maria Goretti Warsi. Maria has won hearts with her dynamic and versatile performances in various shows and movies. We are thrilled to have her here today with us to share her experiences, insights about her book. So the first question, Maria, that I need to ask you is this. Tell us your journey about the entertainment industry and how you became an MTV VJ. What did it take for you to go there for that interview? Do you remember anything that you'd like to share with our listeners?
When I was studying, I really had no idea what I wanted to do in life. I didn't know what profession I wanted to be in. All I knew is that I did not want to be behind the desk, which is really weird, but because today I spend a lot of my time writing behind the desk. But I remember after I finished college, I organically started doing ad films because I used to get called for them. And it's like one led to the other. And I started doing television. I was hosting shows on Z. So all the English music-based shows, or I did a cookery show for them. So somehow I got into hosting shows, but I was still searching for, what I'm going to do in life. And my mom would keep asking me, when am I going to get a job? So I never looked at it like this was a career because I was searching for my real career. And in the middle of all this, I remember I had done a promo for MTV, and they called me and they said 1 week before the VJ hunt, they called me and they said, we're having a VJ hunt and why don't you come and take part in it? So I said, when is the VJ hunt? They said it's next Sunday. So I was like, but today is Saturday and it's next Sunday. So, haven't you all, I was just looking at it and said, I knew the promos were going on for some time. And I was like, I'm sure they have their winner and they're just calling me as a filler. And I was very uncomfortable and I was like, no, but I didn't apply for this. So I don't think I want to come for it. And they kept saying that, no, Maria, you should come because, it's going to be wonderful. And I kept thinking, I said, no, there's something off. And why would they call me when I have not applied, because I remember seeing, if you want to be a VJ, you can send in your videos. And I had done no such thing. So anyway, I spoke to my sister and she told me, she said, listen, what do you have to lose? It'll be 1 week of hanging with really fun people and just go for it. So I did. I just went for a week of hanging with new people and making friends. And I won the VJ hunt.
My God.
It just changed. Yeah, it just changed everything I did.
Amazing. So, you actually went in when MTV's popularity in India was like really at its peak. So, was it competitive? Was it bitchy? Was it, ego and all of that? And how did you navigate if you were caught with the situation? I think a lot of our listeners were youngsters and they all want to become, like you, and they want to go out there and seek the world out. But lots of them are very frightened of what lay ahead. Do share with us some of the experiences.
So, Mahua, when I joined MTV India programming was just about changing, which is why they hired Indian faces, Indian voices, Indian youth. So none of us there spoke with an accent. Before, if you remember, MTV used to have accented, Firangi looking or mixed Indian lives abroad. So they came looking kind of Indian, but they were very Western and they spoke with an accent. Whereas we were a whole bunch. I remember in my batch, there was Nikhil, Chinappa, there was Binoy, there was Amrita Arora, there was me, and if I'm not mistaken, there was Kazan. Or Kazan came later, I'm not too sure, something like that. And all of us were very Indian as you could be. We were all normal kids from our metro cities. And I think what happened at that point of time is because the face of the channel was changing, the youth of India kind of immediately reacted to all of us. And and we were part of that boom that happened with MTV India and MTV Music. Our music also turned to 70% Indian music, 30% would be Western. So that was the mix. And we all spoke like the next college going student, because we were all local kids. And I have to tell you this, that though it was a, a big boom time, we all had our place under the sun, all of us. So amongst us, there was no bitchiness. There was absolute camaraderie, absolute love and respect for what each one of us did. We all had the shows that suited us. So we were never in competition with one another. The only thing we were told while we were MTV VJs is that we've got to bloody do our best. And that's what we did. And I think we all kind of flowered at that point of time. And, we all became who I think our true self, because we were never told to behave in a certain way. We were never asked to put on an accent, to do anything that was not us. So I think that's what made it all so special. But I know that today it is far more, I would say there is so many people and there's so much of competition that I think today it is very different. But having said that, everyone finds their place under the sun. And I think you've got to just be true to yourself, and you've got to treat everyone, with love and respect, I feel. And I really feel that nobody can take anything away from you that's supposed to be yours. It will come to you if you deserve to have it, and if it's going to make your life a little better.
How amazing this line is, that what is meant for you will always come to you. It'll find its way to you. So you've also hosted several shows, including Do It Sweet and I Love Cooking. So how do you decide on the themes and content for your shows?
So I don't actually, because today, at that point of time, the content was decided by the channels, and then they would approach the host or the chef, depending on what kind of look they want. So when Do It Sweet came to me, I was called in as a host, and Vicky Ratnani was doing his first ever food show at that point of time. This was his first food show. I was the host. And when I was called in, I was like, but I don't know anything about, I don't know much about food. They were like, no, don't worry. The chef is there. And, but it's the first time. He's a first time chef. So, you'll have to kind of steer this show. And it was such a pleasure shooting with Vicky. And I got so interested in all the food that he was making. And it was my first introduction to food and how it should be made, and what is baking, what are the different temperatures, and this and that and everything. That in a funny way, that propelled me to learn food. And then, of course, I went on to do I love baking. I love baking, yeah. No, I forgot what was the name of the show only.
It was called I Love Cooking.
I Love Cooking, correct. There was I Love Cooking, and there was I Want to Bake Free. So these are the two shows that I did with the channel, and they were both decided because of the kind of food that I made and the kind of... So there was a lot of research that went into what I did, and we all sat together as a team. We decided what we're going to cook. So a lot of that was done much before the show went on the floor. So it was not that I was just cooking randomly, just anything, but it was stuff that I really like to do, what I can do, because what the audience would also like. So it was to do with all of that. So, sometimes you're part of the planning process. Sometimes you're gotten and you're just taken in for your expertise. It just depends on what the channel wants at that point of time.
So you've also authored a cookbook. Tell me the passion for cooking and how it influences your work. And, how did you think of putting all these recipes together?
I started learning to cook after I had my kids, like really seriously learning, because I didn't know how to. So I knew maybe 4 to 5 or max 10. Even if I push it, max 10 things that I knew how to make. And when I had my son, I realized that I had to make him some kind of food. And I was basically struggling with, okay, so how do you make a soup? How do you make a vegetable soup? What do you put inside it? And how do I make khichdi, because I never cooked. I never ever cooked because I was working for my entire life. I worked. So I never really got into the kitchen. I was not really interested. My mom, every time she would tell me, why don't you cook? I would say, I'm just going to order out. I don't need to learn. So, so I kind of started learning only after my son turned 2, I think, that I realized that, oh my God, I need to know how long I should be frying an egg for, so that I should not over fry it. How much of time do I need to boil a soft boiled egg? How much longer for a hard boil? Exactly, all these things. And in this process, I got really interested in the whole science behind it. And so I started doing a lot of reading. I started doing a lot of experimenting. 2010, I started writing a blog I would put each and every recipe that I did, whether it came out well, whether it died, whatever happened to it, I would write about it onto this blog. And I realized while I was writing this blog that there was a lot of stuff that I used to talk about besides the food. And then I got about 3 offers to do a book. And I took the third offer, actually, because by then I was like, okay, there may be something in this, which is why people are approaching me to write a food book. Of course, this took me 2.5 years because I did it completely alone. I didn't know that you could have a team and all that kind of stuff. So as you know, I was a novice at this. And but what I did was I kind of thought that I would just put in all my favorite recipes. And since I used to cook for the people that I love, I divided the whole book into 12 months and dedicated each month to somebody or to a festival or to a feeling, to something like that. And then I was able to chart down what I wanted to put in the book. And then, of course, started the process of doing trials, try it out. If it didn't come well, then I had to discard it. And the ones that went forward, then I had to kind of put the recipe down by the gram. And it was quite a long process. And I finally did it. And they're very simple recipes. I did not use a food stylist. I used my clothes stylist who came and styled the table. But the food was all from the pan or from the fire straight onto the plate and a photograph taken. So it was all fresh food. There was no styling done. It was left as simple as possible. And I wanted it that way because I realized that when I was learning to cook, sometimes I would see photographs of food and I would be thinking, my food's going to turn out like that. And it looked nothing like that. So I was very clear when I did the book that I would present the food exactly as it was cooked rather than do something really fancy to it and put stuff on it that is not edible and just to look nice. So I thought I won't do all that. I would do away with all that and just present a very simple book that anyone can pick up, and there'll be a recipe for everyone in the book.
How amazing. So from a cookbook to poetry, I mean, you've authored it all. Wow. Please tell us a little bit more on your poetry book, To the Moon and Back. I love the moon. So tell me a little bit.
I love the moon too, Mahua. Completely love it. So while I started writing my blog in 2010, in 2011 onwards, I used to be sometimes just penning down rhymes. And sometimes I would put them onto my blog. Sometimes I would not. And I realized that there was a lot of, I used to just, expressions coming out of me. I would say I would just sit down and write words. They would just flow out of me. And then I would pen it down, and then I would actually not even pen it down. I used to write it all on my phone. So both my books I wrote on my phone, actually, because I'm not good at typing on a laptop, and I found the phone easily. And every time something would come to mind, I would just type it onto my phone, and that's how I actually wrote both the books.
Interrupt here, Maria, because you're the only other human being who I know types on the phone like me.
It's the M thing. It's the M. All the M's are nuts, I think.
I'm sure, because I've written a whole book on my phone. Yeah. I've written my book of poetry on the phone. My first book was also semi-written on the phone. Second book is fully on the phone. So, yeah.
Both my books are on the phone now. Both of them.
Oh, wow. I feel so good because I've often felt that, there's something wrong with me, because the phone is so easy. It's so handy. And, whenever you sit down, you can just put that in your notes. Do you use notes?
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Everything is written on my notes. Everything.
This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So sorry, I had to interrupt. So
No,
yes.
no, please. I started writing everything, and I had, I think, from 2011 to I think 2018 or 19 somewhere. I think I must have had about 100 poems that I had penned down or typed on my phone. And I used to put them out. I used to sometimes not, depending. And then I think I gave it. I asked my publisher. I said, I've written all these poems. Do you want to have a look? So he said, send it over. So I compiled them and I sent them all to my publisher, who gave it to the editor, Ipshita, and to Deepa. Deepa was the head editor, and she read it and she said, Maria, there is a lot of stuff here which is really nice, but we're going to have to, we can't publish all of it. I was like, no, not at all. And then Ipshita, who actually is the one who kind of went through the entire lot of it and came down to 70. Then from 70, I think we came to 50. From 50, we came to 40. So somewhere in 2019, I had my final 50, I think, that I was thinking that probably this will go in the book. And then while they would give me the book every time to edit, I would edit some more, throw some more out, write some new ones. So during lockdown, I think 50% of the book I redid. Because every time they would send it to me and say, why don't you do a last and final scroll through and, just check everything? I would read it and I'd say, gosh, this is terrible. In my head, I would be talking to myself and talking to myself and saying, oh my God, this is horrible. Let me just redo this, or so I just kept editing it till Jan this year. Can you believe this? And finally, my publisher, Ajay, told me, he said, Maria, we are now no longer sending you the book. I said, yes, please don't, because if you do, then I'm compelled to change something or the other in it. So finally,
I get the compulsion.
Yeah, you just keep, because you read it and then you're like, oh God, this is like you want to puke reading it. And finally he said, I am not sending it back. I said, please don't. I said, but please read it once so that there are no, errors. There are no spelling mistakes. There is the commas. Because, when you start reading your own, you read it with everything in place. So you kind of skip all the mistakes. So I don't know now. I've not read it. I actually read it once after it came. But after that, I haven't read it. I'm hoping to get a lot of feedback from people who read it. So some people do send me feedback. Some people just say, we've got your book, and that's where it ends. So I don't know whether people like it, whether people feel what about it. But I'm happy. I'm happy with the work that I put in. So let me say that.
How amazing, Maria. You and me are separated, by distance, but we are very alike the more I talk to you. So, with the rise of digital media and all these streaming platforms, I mean, my God, I'm myself like completely trying to get my head around it. How do you think the role of TV and traditional media is changing?
Oh, it has changed completely, I feel. I feel today on television, I'm talking of if you don't have, the right kind of shows or the kind of shows that are interesting to watch, nobody's watching them anymore, because today everything is digital and everything is online. So it's like the best travel shows you watch on Insta, because everybody is an influencer and everybody is traveling to places. Everybody is eating the most amazing food and living the most fantastic life on Insta. So you get to see that. You get to see some of the best shows on all these digital platforms. So I would say television per se has taken a huge beating. I think it's mostly used to watch sports. I think cricket is still watched on Doordarshan, because I think they still have, rights over it. But I think IPL has been taken over by all the digital houses. So it's completely different today. You don't need a television if you have your phone or you have your laptop. You can watch it anywhere.
You've been an inspiration to many, with your positive outlook and your cheerful personality. I mean, I love watching you. How do you stay so motivated and upbeat even during tough times? It isn't easy, I'm sure, No,
it isn't. It isn't. I am of the opinion that everything is going to work out for the best. No matter what I'm going through, I feel that this is going to turn around. This is going to get better. And there must be a reason why I'm going through a low, or I'm going through something that's not feeling too good in my heart. And I feel that, no, this is happening because there's something better waiting around the corner. And I need to learn a lesson from this, probably that I haven't learned really well. And it's all going to get fine. And I think that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me fine. That's what I truly believe. I feel that there is this spot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And there is a silver lining to every dark cloud.
How amazing. Can you just share with us any of your upcoming projects or ventures that, you're really excited about and you're looking forward to it?
So, to be very, very truthful, Mahua, I don't have any upcoming projects. I did 3 pieces of work in 2020-21, 2 of which released. One, I was part of, I did a cameo in Masaba. And it was a very, very fun cameo of this drunk mother of the bride. So I enjoyed it thoroughly and I had great fun playing it. One was I had to play Chef Maria in Mind the Malhotras, and that has already released. There's another piece of work that I did with Endemol, and that should release somewhere this year. It's called Breaking News, and it's a very serious role again. Not again, but that's the first serious role I've done. The other 2 were a lark. So this is what I have in the pipeline. Other than this, I am actually trying to start work on my 3rd book, which is East Indian cuisine. It's something that is very close to my heart since I'm an East Indian. East Indians come from the 7 islands of Mumbai. We are the local inhabitants of Maharashtra. And we are the people of Bombay. We are the original inhabitants of Bombay, erstwhile Bombay. And, East Indians were farmers, they were fisherfolk, and they were landowners. And there's a lot of Portuguese influence in our food. There is a lot of British influence in our food because we took our name after the British East India Company to appease Queen Victoria when she was visiting, to separate us from the West Indians, who were which was also a colony of the British. So I'm sure my forefathers were converts. And here I am today, Maria Goretti, and making East Indian food and cooking up a storm and writing poetry on the side and doing some kind of drama buzz always.
It was absolutely fabulous talking to you, Maria. You got my heart. So before I end this episode, I have to share a recipe, which is from your March menu. From my kitchen to yours, the palak spinach soup, which Papai had, and I also try and cook, and very few people can get it right. So oil a little, butter a little more, garlic 4 cloves, onion 2 medium finely chopped, potato 1 cubed, vegetable stock 2 cups, tomato 2 cubed, spinach 150 grams, milk 1 cup, salt and pepper to taste, nutmeg.
I have to tell you this now. So a lot of people wrote back to me saying you cannot mix palak with milk. So if you want to take the milk out and you want to add coconut milk to it, please do. But dairy is supposedly not added with palak. This I got to know because I recently posted it and a lot of people wrote back to me saying you never mix milk with palak. So if you want to just correct that and you want to give it as a different, with the coconut milk in, it would still taste as yum.
Coconut milk would make it even more tastier. If you don't want the consistency to be watery, add another cup of vegetable stock and you can ditch the milk. And if you want it to be a way more tastier soup, then add what Maria just now said, coconut milk to this recipe. Thank you so much, Maria. Look forward to meeting you in person and I shall be sending you my book. Thank you so much for being on today's episode.
Thank you, Mahua. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure talking to you and I really do hope I get to meet you.
Yes, I look forward to meeting you too. To you, our dearest listeners, you can find us on your favorite streaming services, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and of course on all other major streaming services. With loads of love, we are The Mohua Show, where we talk ईमानदारी से.